Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Behind Enemy Lines Hockey Podcast. We're pretty excited here because today is game day, but not only is it regular game day, it's playoff game day. First game of the playoffs, 5:30 Eastern time here in the Toronto area or Albuquerque, New Mexico for my good friend Steve.
Yeah, welcome back. Yes, it's good to be back. Playoff hockey. This is, you play 82 warm-up games to get to where we are today, and that's it's always exciting, but it comes on the heartstrings of success and failure within 7 games. So it'll be an interesting postseason, that's for sure.
Mhm. Um, and along with success and failure comes many things, stats, individual milestones, team milestones. One of those being a playoff milestone, which is a topic of our trivia question, I believe, today, Steve.
So we embark on game one of these playoffs, but we've been a franchise for 100 years plus. So, a big number. What is the total number of playoff games the Montreal Canadiens have played? So it's quite high. I will tell you. I threw out a quick number at 500, and it's not it. So
Yeah.
we'll give you a little bit of a hint. It's north of that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the best way is just dive right in. We're not going to discuss the actual game just yet. We've got a few things we want to do, like a quick season wrap up as far as uh, team, what we thought of team play, individual milestones, things like that. So what do you want to get started on with? You want to do the individual stuff first, or?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the individual successes because they build into the team success.
Mhm.
If we did predictions back in one of the first few episodes. We predicted Demidov would have a great season. We'll start with the rookie. He was every bit of what we expected. 60 points, 62 points, led all rookies. I thought that number could have been higher. I thought Marty could have utilized him a little bit different, got him a little bit more minutes early when he was playing well. But at the end of the day, 62 points leads all rookies. We
Mhm.
had Mr. Kapanen, who was right up there. If he wasn't first, he was second in rookie goals. I think he had 23. Maybe that was a little bit of a surprise that we didn't expect that kind of offensive output from him. But he played on line with Demidov, and the two kids, they were dynamic.
Mhm.
So those are probably two of the big ones. We had a third rookie, believe it or not, that often gets overlooked because he played in some games last year, but didn't play enough to qualify him for Rookie of the Year, and that's Jakub Dobish, who you know. 29 wins, 8 losses. I think it was 5 shootout or overtime losses. Again, monumental numbers for a rookie goalie. And if you would prorate those numbers to the likes of a Vasilevsky, who we're going to see in a few hours, he's right up there in the same number of wins, the same number of goals against average. His save percentages is probably going to fluctuate very close. And Vasilevsky's up for the Vezina. Or should be up for the Vezina. I mean, those they haven't announced those finalists. So again, a rookie putting up veteran type of numbers, and it's a tribute to Marty St. Louis and his coaching staff because as much as we want to throw shade at them at times, and we did that during the course of the season.
Mhm.
Overall, big picture was development was definitely prominent with those three players for sure, and it showed because they
Mhm.
got better and better as the season went on. We'll jump over to Slavkovsky again, hits the 30 goal, 70-point plateau. So another increase. So he's gotten better and better every year. We had Mr. Caulfield get 50 goals, which was pretty huge. Suzuki not only toppled 90 points, he got to 100, 101 points. And then we had Mr. Hudson, who, is right up there, close to the 80-point mark, which is unheard of. Caulfield was above 80 points as well. So, statistically speaking, we had some good seasons from a lot of players.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. When you were talking about Demidov and the games he played. I'm just trying to. Sorry, I am paying attention. But I'm just trying to find real quick here. So his average time on ice was 15 and a half minutes, which, I mean, as far as a rookie goes, isn't too bad. I mean, you look at some, like Lane Hudson was 23, almost 24 minutes a game. Suzuki, almost 21 minutes a game. So I'm wondering, as far as the rookie race goes, what like Schaefer, I think Schaefer played almost twice the minutes as
He was up around the 23, 24 minutes, and unfortunately defensemen, good defensemen on teams, the top four play heavy minutes. And if you
Mhm.
look at our top four, for example, Hudson, Gooley, Dobson, Carrier, these guys are up over the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Matheson, they're over the 20-minute mark. Carrier might be down 16, 17 minutes, but then you have, whether it's Jack Io, Struble, or Reinbacher, whoever's been filling in as D-man number 6, they're
Mhm.
anywhere between 8 and 13 minutes.
Yeah.
So, the 4 or 5 guys usually eat the lion's share of minutes. And let's be honest, Schaefer was a stud in New York.
Mhm.
Patrick Waugh, unfortunately, didn't keep his job because, or not because of Mr. Schaefer, but Matthew Schaefer played a lot of minutes and was relied on because he set rookie defenseman statistics for goals scored by a rookie defenseman.
Mhm.
I think he was just above 20 or 21 goals as a D man. So right up there, I think he had 58 or 59 points. So comparable numbers, but
Mhm.
again, 6 or 8 minutes more a game that's monumental.
Yeah. So, and I'm just wondering because I think Seneca finished second. Shout out to our homeboy, or once a general,
Oshawa,
always a
yeah.
general, right? I think I'm going to look it up here in a second too. I'm just wondering what his comparison of minutes are
Time,
because I
yeah,
believe, if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I think Demidov played a lot less minutes than the guys
he
in the
did,
top,
and
right?
and Seneca was getting lots of minutes early in the year, because as Anaheim was trying to find an identity, he was given a little bit more of the lion's share because that line was producing. As he went through the highs and lows of a rookie scoring slump, some of his minutes were dialed back, and as games got tighter, the veterans tend to play more minutes. If I'm not mistaken, he's somewhere around 16 and a half or 17 minutes on average,
17
which
and a half minutes.
yeah, which is number one line type of minutes when he's not out there killing penalties and he's not on every power play. So he's averaging a minute and a half to 2 minutes more a game. When you're getting the extra 8 or 10 shifts, because some of those shifts are only 20 and 30 seconds, you're going to get more touches. More touches should mean more points. So it just goes to show how valuable Demidov was and his touches per minutes played, and how he was able to utilize them.
Yeah. Another interesting stat, and again, I'm not trying to take shade away from Seneca. We both love him. We both think he's a great player. I've seen him play many times with the Oshawa Generals. I'm not sure if you were ever home to get a chance to see
Yep.
him play or not. We're aware of the talent that this guy is. Um, but on his season, uh, Ivan Demidov is a +3. Seneca's a -12. That surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, for a guy playing number one minutes, and a lot of these, we want to assume that every coach or general manager not affiliated with our organization are idiots. Some of them are, a lot of them wear a blue leaf on the front of their shirts,
Yeah.
and they lead a Titanic every year, and we know how that dumpster ends up sinking. But coaches tend to shield rookies at times. Austin Matthews, if you want to go back, speaking of a guy wearing a blue leaf and not happy, when he was a rookie, I think it was not until late in the season that he took a face off in the defensive zone. Every time he was on the ice, he either started neutral zone or offensive zone because they were trying to protect him from the rigors of being a minus player. Because that's an unfair statistic at certain times. It's impactful to a degree. It tells you whether you're on the ice for more goals in your line of scoring, but it's not always a true indication of where that impact is going to be felt, short term and long term. But when a guy's getting number one minutes, you best be hoping you're on the upside of that plus number, because that's where it's got to be.
Yeah.
When
And
you look at some of the guys, and I know it's an unfair statistic, but Nathan MacKinnon led the league at like plus 58.
mhm.
You know, Suzuki was, I think, our team leader at plus 38.
30,
So
yeah,
you
37.
know, you got guys right up there with great numbers, and Seneca down. The difference, of a -12. That's a far cry.
Mhm.
Um, so it's
Yeah, so the only reason I bring that up is I just wanted to do a little comparison. Um, we talked about this before. We kind of both in agreement that we think Schaefer's going to win the Rookie of the Year award. Fair, unfair, I don't know. I just wanted to point out a few stats that would, you know, maybe give a shout out because all the people that you know very well, all the people that vote for this, they listen to our podcast, they get their information from us. So we should throw it out there. I'm sorry, I
Absolutely.
can't even get that out of my mouth. Sorry. Anyways, no, I just think it's, all these little things add up. I think other than the Schaefer factor that um being the defenseman, playing the minutes he was playing, getting the points he was getting, um, you know, if if Demidov wins it, I think he's deserving of it, but I would be surprised.
Well, I think there's going to be a couple of things, and I mean, up until Christmas, I would have had Demidov in the heart of a 1A 1B scenario with Schaefer. As the season went on, Montreal tinkered with the lineup, and we moved Slavkovsky up and down. He went from line one to line two, back up to line one. And Demidov, his offensive production, if you look at it, wasn't a ton of 5-on-5 scoring until late in the year without Slavkovsky. It was a lot of power play points, and that's fine. That it's all part of the game. But when you're playing on line two and that guy's playing on line one, is that a factor? Could be. Hudson won it last year in Montreal. Is that a factor? Could be. The fact that Montreal had three rookies, Kapanen, Dobish, and Demidov, all splitting the sort of the northeastern or Canadian market, um, as far as impact or who was important. Does that harm a guy like Dobish or Demidov when they're both off to good seasons? Possibly. So I think Schaefer's a standalone. I mean, he's got the whole issue. His mom passed away, and there was the little bit of the heart tug on that as well. But he had a great season. Take nothing away from him.
Mhm.
It's just I think unfortunately Demidov didn't do enough. Had he won the scoring race by 15 or 20 points, maybe that's a thing. But who knows?
Yeah, that probably would have been a different story for sure if he'd walked away with it. Um, Milestones. Let's hit on as we all know, Suzuki got the 100. I think he ended with 101. And
101.
Caulfield, as we all know, got the 50 goals. Uh, 50 goals in a Montreal market, for a trophy named after one of the greatest Montreal Canadiens players ever. It just struck home with me, and it just felt right.
Yeah, and let's be honest. McKinnon won it with 52. Caulfield was right there with 50. Um, but McKinnon had seven empty netters.
Hmm.
Cole got all his on a goalie.
Hmm.
And if Caulfield was maybe 4 inches taller, is he out there the last minute and a half of a game with an empty net? And does he
Yeah.
get three or four more empty net goals?
Hmm.
It's possible. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You still take nothing away. The two of them, Suzuki and Caulfield, were absolutely electric. They were dynamite, and they were impactful because they didn't just score the seventh goal in a 7-2 win. They scored the goal to make it 3-3. They scored the goal to make it 4-3, and maybe Suzuki got an empty netter to make it 5-3. So we scored the goals that matter on the stat sheet,
Hmm.
right?
12 game-winning goals for Caulfield.
Caulfield had 12 of them, which led the league.
Hmm.
Mr. Saturday Night had most points on Saturday night of any player in the NHL. Again, you can go up and down the list and find the accolades, and impactful, absolutely.
Hmm. So, I think the thing I take out of that most isn't sure, it's great, the 51 goals by Caulfield, 101 points by Suzuki. Um, they're still 25 years old. They're still young. We're just getting in their prime. We've got 5, 6, 7 years of these guys at their best and getting better. So I see Caulfield again. I don't want to, jump the gun on another episode, but I can see Caulfield getting 60 goals next year, getting the Rocket Trophy. Suzuki, I think, is just going to keep getting better. I think he's going to be, a steady 100 point per season player. The future is so bright and shiny for the Habs right now.
Yeah, and we set another record as a team. It's an unofficial record because it doesn't go in any NHL record book. Last year we were the youngest team to make the playoffs,
Mhm.
and we broke that record. So not only do we have like a 15.8% improvement on points from last year to this year, we did it with a younger team.
Mhm.
So, we trend down one way in a good way, and we trend up in the other way in a good way. And that gives us overall team success. And let's be honest, when some of these guys, like you said, when Dobish digs in and he's got a better back backup goalie and Fowler behind him, and our tandem is better. And the other guys, Kapanen now has another year under his belt. Suzuki has another year under his. All these guys mature within the system. Now they know what each other can bring for 80 games. We're going to be a dynamic team for the next 3, 4, 5 years. The window is going to close quickly because 5 years doesn't seem like it's that short. It's a long time, but it's short when one season wraps up so quickly.
Mhm.
So the future is bright. I don't want to sound like a naysayer. I'm not. I'm a firm believer. But we are in a position to contend now, and contend for a few years.
Mhm. Okay. The ending of the season, I think there were a couple things done. I know I didn't agree with. I would have really liked to have seen them, go all in to try to get those last few points to uh, get home ice advantage. I mean, there was a potential we could have caught Buffalo too. I don't know if that would have happened, but I definitely think we could have uh, gotten home ice advantage in the first round. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it was an uphill battle. And the only reason I say that is we didn't hold any of the tiebreakers. The first tiebreaker isn't head to head. It's actually like tiebreaker number 7 or something. It's regulation wins and regulation overtime wins.
Mhm.
And Tampa and Buffalo both had us. So we would have had to have outright passed Buffalo to win the conference.
Yeah.
And it was too little too late. The game that was the icing on the cake was the game against Philly that we lost. Philly sat 8 regulars, and I don't know whether we were overconfident. I don't know if we were tired. I don't know if they were just ready for the season to be over. It's not an excuse. At some point, we took them too lightly. And Dobish didn't have his best game. He was kind of a little bit shaky, in my opinion, in positioning or confidence of the puck. Struble turned over a couple of pucks to the wrong spot, to the wrong guys, and they ended up
Yeah.
in the back of our net, and we lost a game. Had we won that game, we would have been tied with Tampa. Tampa's last game then means something different to them. Instead, we gave them the free home ice pass. And I'm not disappointed by it because it wasn't solely in, had we won that game we were in, we still needed Tampa to not win. And, I think home ice to Mr. Cooper would have meant something in Tampa, and they would have pulled out all the stops, and every player would have played in that last game to ensure them getting home ice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we can look at the result and say woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I mean, that's every game, and out of the 80 that 82 that you didn't win, you're going to find a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment.
Yeah. And I think if you want to look on the bright side of it, Montreal did have a better road record this year. I
We
think
were
I had the best road record in the NHL, did they not? Like
Yes,
they're
yes. We
lights out
we were
on the
the
road. So
we were the true road warriors. I think we only had 9 regulation losses on the road. So,
mhm.
a shout out to the home away from home, if that's what you want to call it. But I guess that's many homes away from home, since we played 31 road games against 31 different teams. So, we definitely enjoyed the comforts of some Best Westerns, maybe somewhere. I don't know, but we did well away from home, and I mean, it is what it is. We improved from last year. We got better. Everything trended in the right direction, and you have to put the positives forward, and not look in the rearview mirror. Hindsight's always 2020.
And I think part of that, and I'm going to give us a shout out here, not as a, world class podcasters, but as world class hockey fans. Some of that has to go to the hockey fans who travel to all these places, like anywhere close. Montreal fans seem to get there, Tampa and Florida, because Florida being such a hot spot for the snowbirds being down there. It almost seems like a lot of these away games are like home games because you see more Montreal jerseys in the arena than you do the home team jerseys.
And that was prevalent more so this year than any other year. But when you win, you want to travel and spend your recreational entertainment dollars to travel and go see the team. And you're right. There were a lot of teams. I know Ottawa. You go to Ottawa, and every time we played in Ottawa, I think we had more home fans. Again, close proximity. People don't have to travel, but you come down to some of the American markets, and there are as many Montreal fans chanting, and if they're not as many, they're as loud.
Yeah.
So, and that was highlight after highlight and week after week. And, those are the things that we want to sort of focus on because we do have a super passionate, dedicated fan base.
Yeah. Okay. And before we dive right into the upcoming series, as we all know, we're playing Tampa. Let's talk a little bit. We had 3 games last night, and we're just going to touch briefly on this. Minnesota beat Dallas 6-1. That surprised me a little bit. The Flyers beat the Penguins 3-2. And Carolina beat the Senators. I think that was a no-brainer, but again, Brady whiny Kachuk up to his BS
Well,
at the start of a game.
if you think that was BS, it's going to happen again in Game 3
Mhm.
because Jordan Staal is going to do the same thing in Ottawa. I
Yeah.
think Brady Ketchup thought he was going to whoop the old man and take the fans out of it. Backfired because Staal was every bit up to the task.
They
And
give him a good left hook right to the beak.
and took him down. So the mini Dallas game, it's surprising, not surprising. Minnesota's a team built. Bill Guerin did a great job with that team getting Quinn Hughes. Kaprizov looked great yesterday. Again, $17 million man. I'm sorry, I'll take a Caulfield and a Suzuki and throw in Joe Veleno rather than having one Kaprizov. But that's another story for a cap issue or a cap episode that we can debate. But Boldy played well for Minnesota. They started the rookie Wallstead, which I think was the biggest surprise for me in the game because you got another guy making 5 times as much money, but they started the rookie, and good for them because he looked great. Dallas didn't score on power play chances when they had them early, and then they got behind the 8 ball, and well, the rest is history because they played catch up all game. The Philly game, Philly Pittsburgh, that's probably next to the Montreal Tampa, the series that I'm most intrigued by because it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. Sid the Kid, he's a winner. Shout out to Crosby, Captain Canada, who always plays well. And at 348 years old, he's playing like he's 38 again. So he puts up a good effort. And if you saw the stick, the Star Wars saber duel between him and Sanheim, Crosby's not afraid to give what he gets and get
You know what? And I don't understand. I watched that and I was in amazement. I don't understand how there's not 20 players on the Pittsburgh Penguins team because I know. Listen, I've never played a lick in the NHL, and I know I never will. But how somebody did not go after Sanheim after that BS, I just don't understand. And I think back to same thing. Austin Matthews got hurt earlier this year from the Gudis hit. How people don't, go for retribution. Oh, Domi fought him,
in
the
the
next
third
game,
period. Yeah.
whatever, big deal. But I'm just telling you right now, you're on that team. Jack Eye's on the ice, Strubal's on the ice, Anderson's on the ice. I don't see them not jumping the boards and going after the guy if they're going after Hudson or even Caulfield like that, Suzuki, whatever.
Well,
I just don't understand it.
the difference is we have a team built for a little bit of aggression and a combative nature, right? Because we have guys, Jack I'll throw, Struble will get in there, Anderson will throw. I mean, we have guys that are going to take liberties back. You have arguably your most impactful player getting whacked and slapped with a stick, and he's trying to protect himself and give back. And nobody on the ice, not one of the other 4 idiots says, hang on a second, this guy's more important to the team than I am. I best jump in there and prevent our guy from getting hurt.
Yeah,
Because
exactly
that's
my point.
exactly what it's going to be. I don't care if you're Brian Rust. I don't care if you're Malkin. Somebody has got to grab the guy by the scruff of the neck and throw him to the ice and at least take the focus off of Crosby. I don't care if all 5 guys go to the box. You can't have your captain. You can't have him get hurt. You're done. If Crosby gets hurt, you're done.
Yeah.
So, why is somebody not trying to protect him at all costs? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what we're gonna do is tonight, there's 4 games on the schedule tonight. Um, just as a little quick note, Edmonton and Anaheim don't play till tomorrow night, their first game Monday night. Um, we can talk a little bit about that if you want, but tonight we have, well, 3 o'clock this afternoon, um, Kings versus Avalanche. Pretty much have an idea how that's going to go. Bruins at Sabres at 7:30, and the Mammoth in Vegas 10 p.m. Eastern time. Um, what do you got? You got any thoughts on those 3 games?
Well, the one that you know, I, the one that's going to intrigue me the most is obviously Boston Buffalo. The why is that one important? Why is that one most intriguing? Is that the winner of that series plays the winner of Montreal Tampa. So, you don't want to look too far ahead down the the Vegas Strip and see, what bright lights will await you next. But it's intriguing because Buffalo hadn't made the playoffs in 15 years, come out of nowhere per se because they were off to a terrible start, and then they went on a heater, which not only elevated them into a playoff spot, but a division title, and they played well all year after that, and proved that their youth movement put them over the top as well. The thing is they're inexperienced, and every once in a while you've got to fail before you succeed. And I just don't know. I have Buffalo winning. If you want an honest prediction, I have Buffalo winning in a 7-game series. It's not going to be easy. I going to guess there's probably 2 or 3 overtime games in this series because you've got the likes of David Pastrnak and you've got Jeremy Swayman who are studs. Morgan Geekie had a good year, so they've got the combative nature of offense and size. McAvoy is a stud on the back for Boston. You know, I just don't know if Buffalo has enough moxie. I know they went and got Shen and they tried to get tougher, but I don't know if they've got enough guys with enough playoff swagger to pull this together. I'm still going to pick them to win in 7 games, not because of the favorite, because of their youth. But if there's an upset, I think it's Boston knocks them off if there's an upset in this round.
Yeah, and 7 games would be all right with me. And in those 7 games, if they just beat the crap out of each other, I'm quite all right with that. Every night, if they beat the crap out of each other and then they're all tired out for the next round, that would be good for me.
And that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
The other ones, I don't think LA scores more than 5 goals in the series. I think this is going to be over before it starts.
Mm.
Edmonton should get by Anaheim. Anaheim had a good year, a lot of young kids and a lot of misfits that are there to piece that team together. But when you stare down a guy that wears 97, Connor McSomething or other, he's kind of obscure. That guy.
McJesus.
Yeah, but when you see him again, that last game, I watched their last game, dynamite. Just everything he did put this team on his back. He wasn't losing to fall to a wild card spot. They were making sure they got home ice. He ensured it.
Mhm.
And he on his efforts alone, they're going to get by Anaheim. Um,
Now,
the Mammoth could be sleepers to play Vegas. Vegas is a hit and miss team. They either score in bunches or they give them up in bunches. I think Vegas has enough to win. I'm not a big fan of Karel Vejmelka, the goalie in Utah. I know he was right up there with goalie wins, but he played like 60 some odd games, so you're bound to win. But I just think Vegas is getting healthy and catching fire at the right time. So I see Vegas winning this series as well.
yeah. The only thing I look forward to or I'm looking to watch for the Vegas series is Mitch Marner. I'm curious to see if he's going to be uh Toronto playoff Mitch Marner, or is he going to be able to produce now that because I think he's in a better setup to succeed in Vegas than he was in Toronto. I think there was too much going on, and not like so many people threw shade at Marner of what happened in Toronto, and it wasn't just him. It was the team as a whole because you look at where they ended up this year. So what I'm looking forward to seeing is does Marner have a good playoff series and finally get a say, hey, it wasn't me, right?
Yeah, and I mean the wild card there is I believe they're a much deeper, well-rounded team. The problem is he played under Bruce Cassidy all year, and with a week and a half left to go in the season or 2 weeks, they can Cassidy and bring in John Tortorella.
Mhm.
who is one of those hard nosed, tell it like it is kind of guys. And I just don't know if that's a Mitch Marner type coach, you know, because
I don't think he's an anybody type of coach. I am amazed to this day how that guy gets a coaching job.
yeah, but again, Marner is a delicate flower
Mhm.
because, he was coddled in Toronto for so long. Does that catch up to him in his professional development in Vegas? Time will tell. I know the last couple of games I watched, he played a lot of time. He plays the power play. He plays on the defense. When they have a couple of D-men in the box, he takes a shift on the back end. So they still utilize him like they did in Toronto.
Mhm.
Maybe this is the monkey off the back year and he wins one or two playoff series and he can, stick it to Toronto and say, I won more this year than you guys ever did in 7 years while I was here. So, who knows that's the golden finger going to come back Toronto's way one more time because
Yeah.
it seems like anybody who's anybody, because let's be honest, Freddie Anderson was not good enough to be a goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he had a game one shutout in the playoffs. So it's a
Yeah.
gift that keeps on giving all these ex Leafs.
Yeah. Um, so obviously the most important game to us is Montreal, Tampa. You want to touch on anything else before we get into this?
No, I mean this is what we geared up for, right? We
Mhm.
knew the last 10 days of the season, all indications were one of two opponents because I didn't think we were going to fall into a wild card type of scenario,
Mhm.
and it was 80% Tampa most of the time because it 2-3 play each other, so it would have had to have been an obscurity that one of us got number one seed. We beat them the last two games in the last 10 days, which is exciting. They beat us the first two. So we split the season series with them. Should we be worried? We're the best road team in hockey. So we have that going for us. We play a extra road game. I don't know that that means the series tips. They have lots of playoff experience. The Hagels, the Points, the Sorellis, the Kucherovs. They've played a lot of games in their career and a lot of them in the playoffs. And they play big minutes.
Mhm.
What I don't like is their bottom half of their roster is so young and inexperienced. I think that's where we are a better team. I think we're a deeper team, we're a younger team, we're a faster team, we're a hungrier team. And I hope this statement doesn't come back to bite me. I hope it is flip flop to bite Mr. Kucherov. 18 million over the salary cap the last time we played them in the playoffs, and now they're compliant. So let's see if a straight up series has anything to do with the end result. Two key players missing, one from each team, both defensemen. Noah Dobson's missing for us. Uh, insider was reporting that they're targeting. He did not travel to Tampa to be at the team. He stayed home to get therapy. They're targeting a game three at a sort of an eager date, but most likely game four in Montreal. And on the other side, Victor Hedman is not available. He left for personal reasons. They haven't really gone on to too much. I was reading an article through the Tampa Tribune, and they haven't. They have no more information than the rest of the hockey world knows. He's taken a step back. They don't know if it was he came back too early from injury. Then the whole Olympic thing. He was not a prominent defenseman for Sweden at the Olympics. Is the game catching up to him, and it's just a mental thing? You'd think a pro with all his experience and he wore the captaincy, he would know what he was getting into. But again, stranger things have happened. If it is a mental kind of embargo that he's trying to get figured out, I hope for him in his personal life. We always like to see people succeed personally away from the rink first. And then the sport is secondary. But at the same time, from a professional point, I'm glad he's not playing because he's
Yeah.
he's a big stud on the other side, and maybe that gives us the edge up if this goes 7 games that they don't have him in the background helping him.
Mhm. So I think uh, as far as this series goes, uh, as we know, we're playing this evening as opposed to last night. I guess the game was, in the NHL master plan was supposed to be played last night, but it got pushed to today because of something, a
They had a
previous
concert.
commitment in Tampa, and then of course all the rumors and memes started running around that Tampa was afraid of Mr. Saturday Night, so they didn't want to have a play that
Yeah.
Saturday night game, which I think is hilarious. I mean, I get it. All these venues they have bookings from other, like you say, concerts, other events going on, whatever it is. But I just think it's hilarious that, you know, oh, they just didn't want to play Caulfield on a Saturday night. It's funny. Sorry. Anyways,
Yeah, I
um,
can't remember. I did look at it. It is a concert, apparently, and again, apparently they did reach out to said entertainer, and there was just no way for them to flip flop the nights and make it a Sunday night. And that was already a pre-book thing. Had maybe the home ice thing been locked up earlier by Tampa, maybe the NHL would have had a little bit more star power to push it to Saturday. It doesn't matter. We're now a Sunday afternoon team.
yeah,
Get over it, people. It's still a game one, and it doesn't matter what day the calendar says. We're still playing hockey,
yeah.
and it's game one of the playoffs.
So I think a couple things. Montreal is a team on the rise. We're young, we're energetic, we're exciting. Um, Tampa is a team, their window's closing. They're getting older. They're getting, they got lots of playoff experience. Hedman being out is a big one because he has a ton of playoff experience and being a defenseman where I think the playoff experience is magnified. The more defensemen you have with more big game, big playoff minutes, I think the team is better off. So that is, I think, uh, a bigger hit to Tampa, I think, than maybe most people might understand. Um, and in the season series, I know we split the games, but to split hairs, we actually only really lost the one because the other one was an overtime loss. So we're
Yeah.
we're 2-1-1 if you want to get technical. If sorry for being petty, but I'll take every little point I can get. So I think we won the series. I guess when it comes down to it in the standings, they're 2-2, so I understand that. But I just think Montreal is on the rise. Tampa, I think, is getting older. They're on the at some point their trajectory is going to cross up and down wise. And I think this might be there. I think Montreal can win this in 6 games. That's going to be my
So
hot take, my prediction.
my prediction is 6 games as well. If we want to dive into it, I mean, we can beat this up till we're blue in the face. Keys to victory.
Mhm.
Keys to victory for me I think this series comes down to special teams. I don't think it's going to be too many 5-on-5 breakdowns because we can capitalize, they can capitalize. We know that John Cooper is a whiny bastard. Good coach, whiny bastard. He will be in the ears of every referee every time there's a call that goes against him. And at some point, I don't want to sound like that whiny guy, but he is going to get a couple of bonus calls because he always does.
Yeah.
Everywhere he's played, it's just the way it is. We have to stay out of the penalty box. So Marty has to say to Jack Guy and Struble, look, when you go in, finish your check, but keep your hands down. Don't put your hands up because guys like Corey Perry are going to sell that shit. Kucherov's going to sell that shit. Hagel's going to sell that shit. They're in it to win hockey games. If it looks like a dive and it's a dive on their end, let the referees call that. But if we don't give them reason to do it, they can't do it.
Mhm.
Right. So let's not take stupid penalties. I think Dobish could be as good. He's tall and lanky like Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky has more playoff experience. But at the end of the day, stop pucks.
Mhm.
Right. Be confident in what you do.
Yeah.
I think our power play is a better power play than Tampa's. I think their penalty kill has been better than ours overall. And those numbers, maybe I'm wrong. It's going to come down to special teams. What
Mhm.
team stays out of the penalty box and what team capitalizes when they're at a disadvantage?
Mhm.
Because we have to maintain trying to keep the lead away from Tampa.
Yeah. And I think my thought on this leads into exactly your point about the power play and the penalty kill. Play smart. Like you say, keep the hands down. Don't give them any reason to make a call, right? If you give them a reason to make a call, they're going to make the call, and then you're going to feel like, oh, well, they're picking on me, whatever. No, if you play smart, don't do stupid stuff. Like for instance, don't get caught up in the Corey Perry BS. You know what I mean? He's going to be in there. He's going to be aggravating. He's going to be doing whatever. He's going to get after Hudson. He's going to get after Caulfield and Suzuki. He's going to be Corey Perry play off Corey Perry. And that's what they got him for. It's part of the game. It's what he does. But don't get in after him on that stuff. Let him do it and then just skate away. That's the best way to negate Corey Perry is let him do his antics, laugh at him and skate away because then he's useless. You've literally taken the teeth out of the lion and he's got no bite left anymore. What does he do then? He's going to have to start taking penalties because he's going to have to cross the line to start that next level of aggravation. And I think we have the wild horse or the key to the victory in a player that we picked up recently in Texier. Because we all know about the famous Kucherov slash on Texier in St. Louis when Texier was playing St. Louis at the time. St. Louis, I think, probably needs to tell Texier, get in his face, get in his grill, be the Corey Perry, and do what you got to do, and see if we can't get Kucherov off his game. I think that's going to be the two big keys to winning this series against Tampa.
Yeah, we can't play over aggressive. Finish the hits, rub him out. Anytime he's in the corner and there's a scrum, somebody's got to make sure you going in to check him. You just slide your hand down a bit, put the butt end of your stick under his underarm. We've got to find a way to make him hurt. We've got to find a way that he turns around and two hands somebody just because he's frustrated. We can't do it stupidly. I'm not suggesting a butt end of the teeth where he's picking up chiclets all over the place, but you got to make him hurt. He's a tiny guy, and a guy like Anderson going into the corner, if his elbow grinds into Kucherov's rib cage, so be it. That's the edge you need to take. You need to make that guy breathe harder when he's on the bench not playing because this could go 6 or 7 games, and we need to make sure that our dogs in the fight are better than their dogs in the fight, and I think we have more grit across the lineup. There's not going to be tons of fighting majors in this series, so if that's what people are looking for, not going to happen. It doesn't mean that we can't play physical to keep them away from the dirty areas and to prevent the shenanigans from being the shenanigans like the Crosby one was.
Does Tampa have anybody like we of course we all know about the sheriff. We know he can scrap. Anderson can scrap. Struble can throw. I don't think Tampa has that player this year, do they? That's their fighter. That's their.
They have Scott Sabourin, and he played, I think 46 games, I think, in the regular season or some silly number. But he's not a guy that brings anything other than that. So if they're going to put him in the lineup, they're putting him in the lineup and taking away a guy who can score. Yeah. Or a guy who can play. Yeah. So let's
he's the Tampa Ryan Reeves kind of.
He's the Ryan Reeves, yeah. So line one lineups are out, and tentatively, Dobish is getting the start, and Fowler will be the backup. Monty's on a coffee run, and maybe he'll get lost in a palm tree while he's in Tampa. Veleno is not playing, which I'm kind of disappointed. I like Joe and his I like his moxie and a guy again. He's in the corners. Gallagher is not playing tonight. And then we have Reinbacher not playing, Laine not playing, and Dobson not playing. So Carrier draws back in because he's now deemed healthy, and Jacky and Struble are playing on the back end, and Texier and Doc are the sort of the two, if we want to call them, the unknowns. They were the two forwards that got in the extra skates, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So
that's going to come with a lot of criticism. A lot of people are going to say I'd rather have Brendan Gallagher than Kirby Dach. I am of the opposite opinion. I would rather have Kirby Dach than Brendan Gallagher. Here's why. I like Dach's size. When he wants to play a little bit nasty, aggressive, he's a bigger body. He's a faster skater. Gallagher's slow. There's no question Gallagher's heart. He has more than anybody can ever imagine and more than most of the players in our lineup. And if I'm looking at upside, Dach can play center in the wing. That gives him a little bit of an advantage. And obviously, he has more potential upside. He plays on power play unit 2, and he's a lot better at it than Gallagher is. So if I'm putting in a guy to be my 12th or 9th forward that might give me something more than the other guy, he does bring more intangibles and upside than Gallagher. And we need every little bit we can get because I believe this is going to be not the highest scoring series in the first round.
Really? I think it's going to be I wouldn't say it's going to be a high scoring series, but I don't think we're looking at 1-0, 2-1 games. I think we're 5-2, 4-3, that kind of thing.
I think we're looking at more 3-2, 4-3 games. I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to get a 7 goal outburst from either team on any night. No, I think that every other series has the ability to have a game blow wide open. I just don't
Mhm.
see it happening in this series. So, it's two teams that play each other tight, two each teams that have grown to hate each other. And I just think it's going to be low scoring because of it.
Mhm.
We have to not play from behind. We need to get the first goal in one of these two games, keep the crowd down, and focus on playing hockey. And if you listen to all the other podcasters, all the other former players, Marty St. Louis is probably the best prepared individual that's ever played the game. He's a student of the game. He prepared well as a player. He does so as a coach, and his peers give him all the respect in the world. So hopefully, going back to his old stomping ground where he won a cup, he's got these guys geared and jacked and ready to come out shooting
Mhm.
in the matter of 4 hours.
Final thoughts. What do you got for some final thoughts for us tonight?
Final thoughts. I still will stand by it. We win the series. If all goes well, I still think we have the team that can make it to the Stanley Cup final. I don't think there's a team that lines up as well with us. And it's the what's going to kill us? Youth and inexperience. If we get beat anywhere, it's because guys just get overwhelmed and try to do more than they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
If we play the way we're prepared, the way we train, the way we played 82 games, we win the series. So it's kind of like, okay, well, why wouldn't we win? That would be why. That we would be making mistakes trying to bail ourselves out early in the first period when there's still 45 minutes of a hockey game left. So play the game, prepare well, and we should do well. We obviously, like every other team, need to stay healthy, but we do have one or two guys that are heavy guys that have got NHL experience in the wings. So we have the ability to carry forward a few extra bodies should one or two go down. And again, if we can get Noah Dobson back in Game 3, I think that's a series breaker.
Mhm. Yeah, I think for me, I look for a couple things. One, I look to see, I think this is going to be a breakout series for Deminoff. I think it's going to be, for lack of a better term, it's going to be a coming out party for him. He's going to get, if he can do what I think he can do, I think he's going to be the difference maker in the series. I think the other difference maker is what I talked about earlier about not getting caught. You mentioned it too. Don't get caught up in the BS. Don't take stupid penalties. Don't put us in a position where we're down, we're shorthanded, and then we're fighting to catch up. I mean, we have more come from behind victories this year than any other team. But if we don't have to do that, let's not do it. That's basically the big things I looking forward to seeing how plays out. Lastly, again, we both agree that Montreal can win in six. But again, if Montreal can do it and beat Tampa, I think we're set up to go on a long run into the playoffs this year. I don't know that anybody's going to catch Colorado, but stranger things have happened. But I just think we're set up in the East. I don't see anybody because I think we had a better record against Carolina this year as
Sure,
well. So, you know, if we can beat Tampa, I can see us going on a long run, which would make me happy, which is about what my expectations for the year would have been. So I would have no complaints.
Yeah, and we're set up for success, but again, you can't you got to crawl before you walk, and you got to walk before you run, and you got to run before you go skating down the Rideau. So one step at a time.
Mhm.
And let's tackle game one, and let's remember, folks, if we lose game one, the series isn't over.
Mhm.
So someone's got to win game one. It's what happens after game one. If we lose, how do we bounce back? If we win, what do we do to not let them bounce back? So it's a 7 game chess series, and can we get all our moves done in 6 games and be done with it?
Yeah. Okay. So that's going to conclude today's episode. But before we go, I need to give a quick shout out because I know he's listening. He called me and told me he was listening. I need to give a quick shout out to Nick Suzuki, who is new dad to a daughter, Maya. Congratulations to our captain. Hope everything goes great with that. Enjoy your playoffs, enjoy the run, and enjoy your family. Again, hit the like, share, subscribe button. Comment, let us know you got anything you want to say. We love to hear from you and maybe get some people on the show with us over the next couple of weeks or next couple of months. Anything else, Steve?
Well, we'll finish this off before final closings. Trivia question.
I
Final
forgot.
final answer. we are a storied franchise, and like I said, the original number I threw out was 500, just as a rough guess. 100 years, how many playoffs? Well, again, back in the day, there was only one or two rounds, but believe it or not, game tonight is 795 playoff games. So we've got more playoff games in our history than the Utah Mammoth do in Utah. So I mean, it's quite an accomplishment. That's a lot of playoff games. 500 barely scratches the surface, even though they might only played 14 or 16
Yeah.
back in the day. But you figure nowadays you could play 28 games if you do 4 7 game series. So 794 and counting, 795 tonight. So we know we're gonna at least make it to 798 this year. So let's see if we can push that number over 800.
Okay. All right. And again, always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Let us know, like, share, subscribe. And as Steve always says,
Keep your stick on the ice.